But we start our meeting. Thanks. எனக்கு டைமர் இங்கே பார்க்கலாம் கிளாக் இல்லை கிளாக்கை நான் பார்த்தேன் டைமர் ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை இல்லை அதெல்லாம் வேண்டாம் சூப்பர் ஏமா இது சார்ஜ் ஏறவே இல்லை
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, sorry for the short notice. I think in future our class will be always on Tuesday evening like this. Because Wednesday there is another engagement. So it will be always like this in future.
Most of them might have not noticed, Prabhuji.
Huh, Mataji?
Most of them might have not noticed, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes.
Change in time.
Yeah, but I hope today's recording will work properly. So those who miss out can see the recording. So today we are on session number 17. Let us start with Mangalacharana prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sriyuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajataham Sahagana Raghunathanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. My sincere gratitude to all the devotees who are participating in today's session. Actually, I've been taking you for granted because I sometimes give hardly any notice. Sometimes after giving notice, classes get cancelled. So I sincerely express my gratitude to all of you for being so eager to hear the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya for movement, who has literally transformed all our lives. And to the extent that we are able to surrender to him more, he will further transform our lives. so much so that we can go back home in this very lifetime. In fact, today we were attending the 13th day of one of the devotees who passed away uh, just 30 days ago. His name was Ram Kumar. He did not take initiation, but when I came to him a little closely, he was just 57 years old now. And he's not a famous hero of ISKCON. He was not married. And he has been with the movement from 1994-95. And not very noted for anything at all. But today, I came to know more about him in the last 1 or 2 years, but quite a lot of information came to me towards the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks only. And this devotee is so extraordinary that he was living and dreaming about how to distribute the books of Srila Prabhupada. That was his only, of course, he had two more goals. The second goal was how to prevent cow slaughter, to protect the cows, not only in India, in the whole globe. Second mission. And third mission was Nagar Sankirtan. Actually, these three are very close to Srila Prabhupada, and these three became the very dear goals of this Ram Kumar Prabhupada. And okay, so having a dream is not much, right? But he was working on all these three with so much enthusiasm. Even though he was only a foot soldier, he was not a frontline leader. So, you have limitations that your priorities, you cannot push it on other people. And your own strategies, your own ideas cannot be pushed. Others, leaders, they have their own things to do. They will have their own problems to be coping with. But this Prabhu was so inspired and he was living and breathing these three goals. There is so much I can say, but what I mean to say is that this is the ideal of every devotee in this call. Not that one should not become a leader, but one should always see oneself as a servant, never as a leader. If leadership position comes, you should willingly accept it, but in the mood of a servant only. So we have this term servant leader in this call. A leader is a servant of his followers. He's a servant of the followers. And that should be the mood of every leader. And just one or two things I will mention about this devotee. He was an engineer and he held various jobs in the earlier part of his career. Then he was not doing anything. He was fully focused on reading Srila Prabhupada's books, hearing the lectures of His Holiness Balaswami Maharaj, who is in Chennai. And he observed these things very deeply. Then finally he came out with these three missions that is so dear to him. So as regards book distribution, he was always behind people to somehow organize these book distribution marathons and to give the books at a lower price because people are not buying if you set the price high. So we should somehow find sponsors who will subsidize the cost and we should give it at a very reasonable price, which will be very attractive to the people. So with this end in view, he was approaching various corporates. He is almost a nobody. Anyone in his situation would think, no, this is for bigger leaders. This is not my cup of tea. But because he found that the books prices are high and they are not affordable for the common public. At least it is affordable actually, but they don't want to invest money on that. That's the whole problem. If you sell them at 350 rupees a copy, they are not interested. How to make them interested? So he wanted to bring down the price so that the books will go. So he used to approach corporates and in various names he would say, please give us under corporate social responsibility. You have some targets. You give it to us. We will use it for your purposes, but then that will release funds from our temple account that we will use for subsidizing the books. Like that, he had so many ideas. I am a retired officer from State Bank of India. So he dragged me to State Bank of India. I was so reluctant to go. But when I saw this man who knows nobody in the SBI, he wants to go, then I thought I will be doing injustice to Srila Prabhupada if I don't go with him. So we went. So like that, He has been seeing so many corporate houses, and we never knew that he has some serious health conditions. He has a chronic kidney disease, CKD, and he has got very fluctuating blood pressure levels. So, about 3 weeks ago, or something like 3, 4 weeks ago, he had a stroke. He had a stroke, and there was a hemorrhaging in the brain, and his right side was paralyzed. He was in the hospital, and when I went to see him on the day one, the thing what he said was Indian Oil Corporation. That was the last company he had visited, and he had some positive indications that they will support. So that was in his mind, Indian Oil Corporation. And uh, in fact, for some time his memory was jumbled up. But this was very prominently there, which means this person is only living for Prabhupada. He was never talking about his physical condition, how he is feeling, whether there is any pain, whether he has got any fears that I have had a stroke, now how I will walk. No, he's not talking. We are thinking about all those. He is thinking Prabhupada's mission. Because I don't want to take too much of time in this discussion, I want to close it here, but I have met an extraordinary personality. And one time, he shared with me with great shyness. Because he didn't want to speak about it, but he did want to speak about it. So I asked him, why you have not taken initiation? We have still not taken initiation. Then he asked me one counter question. Prabhu, do you think Srila Prabhupada can even now initiate people? I said, yes, but I think it happens very, very rarely. But such a possibility cannot be ruled out. Then he told me that one day Srila Prabhupada came out of the picture and sat in front of me. He said, oh, I may be dreaming. So he closed his eyes, did so many things, and then he again looked at the place, and Srila Prabhupada was sitting in flesh in front of him. So he was very sure that this was not a hallucination or a dream. It really happened. So he has taken it that Srila Prabhupada has directly taken me under his. So he has not taken initiation, but he's a regular chanter. His kirtans are so melodious. He has such a wonderful taste, very refined taste in everything. And some of the things when I think about him, I will only cry because he never accepted his limitation as an ordinary individual. So that makes me think of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was a 70-year unknown man. Nobody knew him in India itself, even though he was writing to prime ministers and presidents. Right? He wrote to Mahatma Gandhi. This Ram Kumar is like that. He has written letters to the President of the United States and countries like Uganda, Zimbabwe, South Africa on matters like cow slaughter. And he was so eager. There is one parliamentarian in the US. Her name is Tulsi Gabbard. She's an ISKCON devotee. And she has now become a minister in the government of Donald Trump. So he wanted her email address. I want to contact her. I want to do something about this cow slaughter which is happening throughout the world. And he collected so much of Prabhupada's quotes and his writings regarding cow slaughter, and he would attach them and send emails to so many. He never accepted his limitations as an ordinary person. I am not a famous person. I am not an influential person. So my service will be some menial service only. I cannot do bigger than that. He never accepted that. So today we were sitting and reminiscing, and many people were actually crying that we never recognized such a wonderful person who was in this call. So I don't want you to take the wrong message. We should all aspire to serve the mission to the best of our ability. And when we get leadership positions, we should willingly accept it in the service of Srila. Not for our own glory and for our own respect and recognition. But in the service, if it will help you, you should actually accept it. But at the same time, let us imagine these unsung heroes of ISKCON. Unsung heroes. I believe he went back home. Or Srila Prabhupada recruited him and he must be going to some other planet or another part of this world where he will continue his mission. Because this same person, had he been there in a position of influence, he would have created miracles. So much is his commitment that I have no doubt at all that if he had a supporting environment, he would have stopped at nothing. So with these words, I will start today's session. So now we know how much inspiration Srila Prabhupada carries. How much inspiration Srila Prabhupada carries to transform the lives of an ordinary individual to such an extent that he lives for the world. He no longer lives for himself. His mission is to save the world. But it is more like, I want to serve Prabhupada, that's all. I want to serve Prabhupada. I want to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in effect, it translates as serving the whole world. Serving the whole world. So that is the kind. There must be so many people across the globe who are like this. For some reason, they never got big position or power or influence or recognition. But they have contributed so much in terms of touching the hearts of people. That, oh, this is how one should serve the spiritual master. This is the meaning of surrender, where you no longer think about your own self anymore. You are only thinking how to further the mission of the spiritual master. So we will continue today's session. So now, we are in Mayapur, right? We are now in Mayapur. And from Vrindavan, Prabhupada has come to Mayapur. And this is the month of March. So what is March? Gaur Purnima month. Okay. So Prabhupada has come to Mayapur with his disciples to celebrate Gaur Purnima. And we know the building is getting ready and all those things. So we saw that roadblock was there, etc. We have seen that. And the Prabhupada was very happy that global devotees have come fulfilling the vision of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And there was a Navadip Mandal Parikrama, which was led by His Holiness Jayapataka Goswami Maharaj. Right from those days, he has been serving Mayapur. Right? Just imagine how consistently a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who came when he was only a teenager, and then he has stayed there as a Naishtika Brahmachari until now. He is leading with all his physical limitations. He continues to serve the mission. So Prabhupada said, this is a pilgrimage for purification of the global creatures. That's all. Why you have come here? You want to purify yourselves so that you can go and preach. Because preaching means you have to be pure. Purity is the force for any preacher. Okay. So then there was a GBC meeting, and the way Prabhupada conducted the GBC meeting, actually Prabhupada doesn't conduct GBC. GBC meeting will be conducted by GBCs themselves. Prabhupada was just there as an observer so that he can give some suggestions. He encouraged them to not go on discussing, deliberating endlessly. You have crisp, short meetings. Pass your resolutions. Just give me one moment. Just give me 1 minute. So, GBC meetings, he said, it should be very short and crisp. And you make your resolutions and you try to execute them. And whatever some issues may be there, in the next meeting, you can take a call on that and make some changes if it is needed. But just go on, you don't go on discussing. So Prabhupada said like that. He said, they should not simply talk. Rather, someone should present a proposal. Everybody Whoever wants to do something, they will come with a proposal with recent arguments and all that. And then it will be discussed and voting. All resolutions should be then listed in the minutes for action, like that. He said, chalk out your plans for 1 year, and then whatever you decide, don't change it for that year. Carry on. Next year, when you meet and discuss again. So this is what Prabhupada is a very action-oriented man. And at the same time, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 7th chapter, that new volume arrived. And that inspired the devotees a lot because it contained many things that confirmed whatever Srila Prabhupada was doing. So one of the things that in this book was there is the tree of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness tree. Who is the tree? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the tree of Krishna consciousness. And who is the gardener? Anyone? Krishna conscious tree grows, right? From a small plant, then it grows big, then it develops so many branches and all. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the tree, who is the gardener?
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a gardener also. Okay. Achintya Veda Veda. This is the gardener and tree in one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the tree and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the gardener. I am speaking from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita names the various branches, main branches and sub-branches of the tree. Each is represented by a particular associate or disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is how this tree is described. So Krishna Kaviraj is saying that the branches of the Chaitanya tree formed a cluster of society. All the branches together made a cluster of society with great branches covering the universe. So it had very big branches, main branches. They covered the universe. And there were other branches which covered this planet and different parts of the planet like that. So in that purport, Prabhupada has written one sentence, okay, in the purport. What is that sentence? Our International Society for Krishna Consciousness is one of the branches of the Chaitanya tree. Okay. So now let us all remember, we are in the shade of the Chaitanya tree and under this massive branch called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are there. So Prabhupada's, and then Satsvarupa Maharaj writes, Prabhupada's translation of this Chaitanya Charitamrita and his commentary are the fruit of the Chaitanya tree. So Chaitanya tree not only has branches, it produces fruits also. So that fruit is our own book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is fully authoritative and parampara, but it is not merely academic or technical. Its teachings stress that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to widely distribute devotional service should be the desire of everyone. Okay, like that. So Prabhupada writes, the only purpose of the preachers of Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without restriction. That is the way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sankirtan movement to the world. So like that. There is one more important verse in this book. What is that? Bharata bhumite haila manusha janmaya janma sartaka karo paropaka. So Prabhupada stressed on that. The Indians are so fortunate, but first they should perfect their own life. Then they should give this knowledge to others. So he said, actually, unfortunately, Indians have failed the world because Indians should never give up their spiritual background. They should not start imitating the Western countries and start thinking earning money, enjoying sense gratification, acquiring reputation, etc. in this material world is a goal of life. Because we are not the body. That is the starting point of spiritual knowledge. And once we understand that, then our entire goal is, oh, how did I get into this body? If I am a spirit soul, I am eternal, I am the servant of the Lord, Satchitananda. How did I come into this material body, which is subject to change? And it will perish one day. But I am eternal. How did I get into a temporary body? That should be the rest of our life's mission. how can I get back my original spiritual body, which will never perish, and go back home to the spiritual world? So Prabhupada said, unfortunately, the present leaders of India are leading people away from God, away from even the difference between pious activity and sinful activity, they cannot understand. And so that means they have no belief in the next life. So India has lost its momentum. Majority of the Indians are now almost thinking, oh, who cares about the next life? You know, either they don't believe, or even if they believe, it's a very weak belief. Oh, more important, I should enjoy life. More important, I should fulfill my material responsibilities now. God can wait. If I don't have time, then that's it. I may die also. Doesn't matter. I have to work for this one life. So this means they have all become atheists. So Prabhupada is saying that. But Indians have a special duty to learn Vedic principles and then to distribute to the world. So Prabhupada says, if Indians had taken to this path recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, India would have given a unique gift to the world, and thus India would have been glorified. But on the other hand, on the contrary, what Indian leaders have done, they have gone with begging bows to the whole world. First of all, saying, oh, we are a poor country, we need your help. But it was not at all necessary. India was never a poor country. India was spiritually rich. And if you properly organize your spiritual wealth, then there's no poverty at all. Everybody will have enough. We will come to that subject a little later. So Prabhupada says, the best welfare activity for all human society is to awaken God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that way, Srila Prabhupada continued to stay in Mayapur for one whole week, Gaur Purnima time, daily lectures and daily meeting with smaller groups of devotees. For many hours, Prabhupada would discuss the future of ISKCON. On the day of Gaur Purnima, all of them went to Ganga and they took sacred. Prabhupada just took some achaman on his head, but the devotees from the high bank, they dove into the river and they swam. So like that they enjoyed. Next day, Prabhupada left for Vrindavan. Now Mayapur Yatra over, now back to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he would again meet all these disciples and introduce them to Vrindavan. Now you recollect, when Prabhupada came to Mayapur, so many devotees from across the world, some 300-400 devotees had come. They have come directly to Mayapur. Now Prabhupada is taking them to Vrindavan also. They have seen Mayapur, they have done parikrama. Now he is taking them to Vrindavan for getting familiar with the place and to purify themselves and go back home and preach. The aim is that. So many of the Western disciples, they had no idea of India. They are seeing India for the first time. So Indian living, Indian traveling was a shock for them, culture shock. And they developed indigestion, dysentery, and culture shock, homesickness, all these things happened. But they stuck with Prabhupada. Even when they felt homesick for the kind of food back home, for the kind of weather, for the kind of culture, but still they stayed on. But they were not very healthy, They were having various physical problems, but still they had complete faith in Srila. So they went from Mayapur to Calcutta, then they went to Delhi, and finally they reached Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, the temple is not yet ready. There is no proper guest house. So what they did, the devotees stayed at the nearby Fogal Ashram. I don't know how many of you have seen this Fogal Ashram. It is on the same street as our temple. If you go further down, you will reach Fogal Ashram. Quite a big ashram. And in fact, when we used to go for our yatra 20 years ago, mostly we stayed in that Fogal Ashram. So on day one, in the evening, Prabhupada is giving his class. And then he noticed 400 devotees have come, but there are only few people sitting in the class. So Prabhupada asked, where are they? And Prabhupada was told, they have gone to visit the famous Goswami temples in Vrindavan and also other pilgrimage sites of Krishna's pastimes. And some of them were also shopping in Lohi Bazaar for their temples, for deities and all. And some others were sleeping. Prabhupada immediately became annoyed. He said, bring them all back. Coming to pilgrimage means to come where the sadhus are. I am here. So why is everyone going to other places? On hearing this, so many devotees came when the news immediately spread. I don't know, in those days, mobile phone was also not there. We don't know how the news spread. No emails, nothing, no, I don't know how. But then they all came. And very soon, the room was not enough. The room was overflowing with devotees. Hare Krishna, just one moment, just please forgive. Hare Krishna, sorry about that. So, the room became overflowing with people. And then Prabhupada talked about tapasya. Please listen. Now we are hearing Prabhupada class. Okay, Prabhupada is giving class. So every evening there was Prabhupada class. Okay, so this evening he talked about tapasya. Tapasya means austerity. Prabhupada said, tapasvis in Vrindavan, they go naked, even in the cold. They are determined about what? Not to take birth again in this material world. That is very clear. And he described the condition of the soul in the mother's womb. How cramped it is, how dark it is, how painful it is, how worms are biting and all these. Because the nervous system slowly begins to develop, and that's a very, very painful process for the baby. Initially, the nervous system is not there, but then the brain, the nervous system and all start growing. And then the sensations are not very pleasant. So like that, it is like someone being bound hand and foot and thrown into the ocean. The child is, underwater all the time. It is in the mother's womb. And hands and feet tight. So like that, Prabhupada is explaining. And Maya puts us in illusion that we are happy. Prabhupada said, and because of this feeling that my life is good, I am enjoying, what is the risk? Again, you will go into a mother's womb. We have already spent 10 months in a mother's womb before we took birth here. And because we are thinking, oh, this life is very good, I am actually enjoying, I am actually comfortable, then what will happen? Again, you will enter into a mother's womb and suffer for all those 10 months. And also, in this life, we may be a wealthy human being, but in the next life, we may become a bug or a hog or a dog. So Prabhupada says, this life is for tapasya. So Prabhupada is echoing in Bhagavatam, Rishabhadev, he talks to his 100 sons, headed by Bharat Maharaj, the famous Bharat Maharaj. And he's telling them, Tapo divyam putraka yenasa. This material world, this material birth is meant for only tapasya. It is not meant for enjoyment. It is not meant for anything else. That means this life is for austerity. So Prabhupada says, but we cannot execute severe penances in this age. But Kali Yuga people, cannot do severe penances like they used to do in other ages. What is our penance? Listen carefully. What is our penance? Our penance is to try to reform poor, crazy persons. Who are the poor, crazy persons? What we were only a few years ago and what we find around us. People are so absorbed in material existence, thinking they are all happy. I'm happy. I'm doing quite well. Yeah, I'm fine. No problem. Everything is good. going well. So these are crazy persons. So our penance is to convince these people that actually you are not comfortable. You are all suffering. Please take to Krishna consciousness. Please surrender to Guru and Mahaprabhu and make your life perfect. We have to convince them. So Prabhupada says, one should take voluntary pains for Krishna. What is a voluntary pain? It is very nice to sit at home and perform our Krishna consciousness. But to go out and distribute the books to unwilling people, to go out and preach to people who don't trust you, who don't believe you, who don't care for you, who neglect you, but still you want to preach them and change their consciousness. That is austerity. That is real austerity. So Prabhupada says, if you do that, one should take this voluntary pains. Krishna comes to save the... Why Krishna comes? Krishna says austerity. Actually, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is telling to Lord Brahma in the second canto that it is an austerity for me. What I am doing here in this material world is actually an austerity for me. And he is teaching Brahma, I am happy by your austerity. Brahma does tapasya for 1000 celestial years. Then he takes darshan of the Lord. Then the Lord says, I am happy by your penance, by your austerity. And then he says, I am myself performing penance here. So this material world is meant for penance. We should give up the idea that no, there is some penance and some enjoyment. No, this material world is not at all meant for any kind of enjoyment. So Krishna comes to help the fallen soul. If you help Krishna a little, he will be pleased. Krishna comes himself and sends his devotee and he gives books. And still we are mad for sense enjoyment. Our penance, therefore, is to try to reform the fallen souls. Right? So that is our penance. So very clearly, Prabhupada talked about penance, but he did not scare people by saying, see the Babas, Nanga Babas, they are going without dress in the cold also. They live like that so that they can avoid rebirth. But Prabhupada says, you don't have to do all these things. You don't have to go naked in the cold. You don't have to do such austerities. But to preach is the austerity that ISKCON devotees must accept. This is what. And then hearing Prabhupada's words, disciples became uplifted. When they understood, we have to preach to the citizens of all corners of the world. Prabhupada had called them to visit Mayapur and Vrindavan, and they had come. But their real work was to save the fallen souls of the countries from which they come. Some from Europe, some from America, some from Australia, some from Africa. They should all go back home, not try to stay in Mayapur and Vrindavan. They have to go back and serve their local population. So when they heard Prabhupada, they all became determined in this service. Later on, one of the devotees said, even materialists we can handle Prabhupada, but sometimes to handle devotees is difficult. And one devotee particularly named one Makan Chora, one of the devotees. He says, I'm finding it so difficult to work with this devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada, you know what he said? That is your penance. So everywhere it is penance. Everywhere there is opportunity for penance. Prabhupada said, that is your penance. Your penance is to work with Makan Chora. We should take anxiety, Prabhupada says. Not that we should avoid anxiety. We should go for anxiety. Not for the sake of anxiety. But in the process of rendering service, we should not run away thinking, there is so much anxiety. That we should not do. If there is anxiety, we should not try to avoid that service. So this will really speed up our advancement. So Prabhupada says, for a sane man, for an intelligent man to work with a crazy man is not a pleasure. But the service to Krishna is pleasurable. So Prabhupada said, if you have been made to work with a devotee who is a difficult person to work with, that is your austerity. Prabhupada described how he himself had left his peaceful Vrindavan life, correct? So Prabhupada is not speaking in the air. Prabhupada has demonstrated this. He was living happily in Vrindavan. having all the respect. He hardly needed anything. Everybody in Vrindavan respected him as Swamiji. He could have continued the rest of his life and back home, back to Godhead. But he left all that. He took so much burden and anxiety for Krishna. Just as he had taken the risk by going to America in old age, so his disciples should accept whatever difficulty required to preach Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada added, the work is not pleasurable. The work is not pleasurable, but making so many devotees is pleasurable. So here, when you are willing to accept anxiety, Krishna will fill you with pleasure. Because you are working for Krishna. Krishna is the reservoir of pleasure. Krishna is the reservoir of all happiness. So when you are accepting anxiety for Krishna, Krishna will fill you with happiness, unending happiness. So that's all. And the devotees had been visiting various temples of Vrindavan. They wanted to imbibe the Vrindavan spirit. But the real nectar of their stay in Vrindavan was when they came to Prabhupada to hear his lectures, speaking about Vrindavan. Prabhupada also said, Vrindavan is for Paramahamsas. Paramahamsas. You cannot see Vrindavan with Vishaya or material spirit. If you are absorbed in material enjoyment, you cannot see the real Vrindavan. So only Paramahamsas can see real Vrindavan. So what is the test? The test is how much you have conquered over eating, sleeping, and mating. How much you have controlled that. Don't think you can come to Vrindavan and become a Goswami. One who comes to Vrindavan with a material spirit will take birth as a dog or a monkey in Vrindavan. That is his punishment. But then Prabhupada added, so the dogs in Vrindavan are also Vaishnavas. But we should not aspire to become like that. These dogs, when they die, they go back home, back to that. The dogs of Vrindavan, the pigs of Vrindavan, the monkeys of Vrindavan, they die and back home. But because they misused, they stay in Vrindavan, they are punished for one lifetime to be born as animals and birds. So Prabhupada said, people come to Vrindavan to give up all material anxiety and family life. They want to give up family life and all anxiety. So one should not be afraid in Vrindavan. You should not mind what is going to happen to me now. Should not do. There are many devotees in Vrindavan who are not disturbed by the heat and cold. But there is one more risk. Okay, heat and cold is one risk, but the other risk is what? That you meet people who talk about gopis, but they are bidi, they are smoking bidi. They are smoking bidi, but they are talking about gopis. Acting as Babajis, keeping long hair, jada, only little cloth around the waist. They appear like Goswamis, but they still have sense gratitude. So that is another risk of Vrindavan, that they are talking about the gopis and you become attracted to them, but they don't have ideal habits. And Prabhupada says they are sahajiya. Sahajiya, no doubt. We have to see who is a devotee from personal behavior, not from how they speak, how they articulate, how they attract you by their words, how they mesmerize you by their gestures. No, their behavior is the real test. If one is seeking money and greedy and women and talking of the gopis, then what is his position? How he can talk about gopis? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never talked of the gopis publicly. So if anyone is talking about gopis publicly, you avoid that person. If you are in Vrindavan and there is a big crowd listening to someone giving katha and he's directly talking Ras Leela, you are safe to avoid that person. Don't go to that person again. This is the highest spiritual subject matter. How can you open it to the ordinary public? So Prabhupada says, real Vrindavan is not to eat prasadam and sleep. You don't come to Vrindavan to eat prasadam and sleep, but to follow the advice of Krishna and broadcast his message. That is his message. That is Vrindavan. Vrindavan Dham is worshipable. Don't commit an offense here. Take it as Chittavani Dham. Narottam Das Thakur says, you cannot see Vrindavan, as long as you have material vision, as long as you are absorbed in sense gratification, Vishaya Chadiya Habe, you have to give up all consciousness of sense gratification. Then only you can see Kabhi Hama Haribo Shri Vrindavan. Then only the real Vrindavan will become visible to us. So that Prabhupada is emphasizing. Narottam Das Thakur says, Vrindavan is not possible with Vishaya, but you should take shelter of Gauranithar, become cleansed of eating, sleeping, and mating. Understand this. Then you will see Vrindavan. Okay. And this is the special influence in Vrindavan. Prabhupada continues. Vrindavan's spiritual quality is that any devotional service you do here, its result is multiplied 100 times. Right? Whatever service you do in other places and you do in Vrindavan, the power is 100 times. You get piety. But an offense in Vrindavan also has 100 times effect. So this is the danger of Vrindavan. You commit an offense, that is also magnified 100 times. Ordinary persons are therefore advised to visit places like Vrindavan not more than 3 days. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his closest associate, Jagadananda Pandit, to Vrindavan and said, not more than 3 days. And then, if you are staying in Vrindavan, always stay close to Sanatana Goswami. Don't leave his association. Always stay close to Sanatana Goswami. Don't wander. So these are actually instructions not for Jagadananda Pandit, these are for us. These are for us. So we should be very, very careful. We should not get carried away. Oh, once I go to Vrindavan, I will see Krishna and Radharani dancing in the kunjas. That will not be there. So our mood should be to go there to become purified. Give up our material attachments and to become attracted to the service of Radha and Krishna. So Prabhupada said, better to come, become purified and leave on the 4th day. 3 days you stay, 4th day you leave. The worst offense to Vrindavan is to commit illicit sex here. So do not come and play hide and seek with Krishna. He sees with his eyes the sun, and he is also in your heart. Not 2 things, Prabhupada says. One, he is the sun up in the sky. He is watching you all day. But don't think, oh, at night he is not watching me. Because he is there in your heart also. Don't think I can hide from the sun. You can never hide from the Paramatma. Right? So Prabhupada says, Krishna knows everything. Those who want to be devotee must be sincere. That's the one qualification. You need sincerity. You need integrity. They should not play tricks because Krishna knows everything. Be sincere with Krishna and his representatives. Preach the gospel of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Become a spiritual master. So this is what Prabhupada lectured in the first day. After the evening lecture, Prabhupada mentioned that, see, even during my class, some of the people walked away. And Prabhupada said, those who walked away are the Sahajiyas. Those who walked away from my class, they are the Sahajiyas. Why they are Sahajiyas? They are so advanced that they want to hear only about the embracing and kissing of Radharani and Krishna. They want to only hear that. They take my talks as ordinary. Oh, he's an ordinary sadhu. He's not talking about Ras Leela. He's not talking about the intimate pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. No, we will not listen. They walked away. So Prabhupada says, this process of lecturing, what the correct process of lecturing is 1 shloka per day, 1 verse per lecture. And that, this is speaking, this is like Krishna speaking. Krishna speaking. He said that his own Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, spoke on the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam for 3 months. First verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadi Seto Anvayadita Paschateshu Vigyaswarat. That 1 shloka, he spoke for 3 months. And then he gained great respect for that. One Swamiji speaking for 3 months on just the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what Prabhupada came to know, that one of his disciples, despite all this advice Prabhupada is giving, one of the disciples had gone to stay with the Babajis in Radhakunda. You know, Radhakunda is the holiest place in the whole creation. And this devotee of Prabhupada, he went to Radhakunda, staying with the Babajis. And Prabhupada became angry. And he sent for the boy to come immediately. The boy, means maybe 17, 18, 19, poor fellow, he has come all the way from America to be with Srila Prabhupada. But then the Sahajiyas attracted him. He was attracted to Radhakunda. He thought, okay, I have understood, I have learned from Prabhupada. By his mercy, I have come to India. Now we will go for higher things. Because Prabhupada is never talking about the pastimes in Radhakunda. Prabhupada is not talking about the esoteric pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But these people are calling me in Radhakunda. So he went in. So Prabhupada thought that boy. And when he came, Prabhupada went out to see him. That means he did not come to Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada went out to see him. He was dressed in only one dhoti, like a Goswami. Prabhupada spoke very sternly to the disciple and saying, the monkeys of Vrindavan also live simply. Don't think you are living simply. Even the monkeys here are living simply. They are, at least you are wearing a dhoti. The monkeys don't even wear that. So they are even more austere than you are. Saying, the monkeys live simply, but they are only interested in eating and sex life. Don't become a monkey, Prabhupada said. And as Prabhupada spoke, Satsvarupa Maharaj observed he was trembling. Prabhupada is speaking to one out of his so many disciples. One disciple who has been lost. He went to Radhakunda. Prabhupada is so disturbed and he is shaking. He said, why don't you come and live with me? So Prabhupada said, don't become a monkey. And then he said, why don't you come and live with me? The boy replied, what did he say? The Babajis have given me some facility to chant. Like there is. There are 64 rounds maybe. Prabhupada again said, you come with me. Prabhupada shouted, I will give you facility. But don't become a monkey. And finally, the boy surrendered before Prabhupada's compassionate concern. When he saw Prabhupada's compassion to him, he surrendered. He returned to his car. Just see how difficult it is to hold the flock together. Prabhupada is struggling. So Prabhupada heard that some of the local Goswamis were complaining about one article in Back to Godhead. In Back to Godhead, there was one article written by Hayagriva Maharaj. Okay. And in that, what he had written, the Goswamis in Vrindavan who misbehave will become dogs and pigs and monkeys in the next life. Prabhupada spoke in the lecture and that he put it in the Back to Godhead. And they were complaining, how you are writing like this? Prabhupada replied that this is an accurate statement. He said the article is not specifically referring to the present Goswamis, but it is talking about any Goswami who lives sinfully in Vrindavan. This was not merely an opinion, but it is the authoritative conclusion of the original 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Okay. So next thing was, this is another interesting pastime with Yamuna Mataji. Right? This is a pastime with Yamuna Mataji. Yamuna Mataji, if you remember, Gurudas is the president of Vrindavan and Yamuna Mataji is his wife. So they're living there. And rarely Prabhupada saw her. If you remember how much services she has rendered when Prabhupada was in America, early days. The very first wedding of Mukunda with Janaki, she came for that. It was in 1960, 65 or maybe early 66. She attended. Then only she became a devotee. So one of the senior most disciples of Prabhupada. But she was not coming to see him. So one day he sent for her and inquired, why you are not coming to see me and serve me? Prabhupada. See the mercy of the Guru. What a great first. Then Yamuna Mataji admitted that she was afraid because Prabhupada seemed to be in a chastising mood lately. Prabhupada was chastising left, right, and center, everyone. So she was afraid to come in. She was referring to Prabhupada's insistence and pushing to get the temple built. Gurudas is her husband. So she's equally sharing the stress, And she's not just a housewife, correct? She is also part of the active disciple congregation. So when her husband is being chastised, she feels the pressure. So Prabhupada said, the only way the temple will be built is by pushing. I have to push. Then that otherwise temple will not be built. Prabhupada said. But Yamuna again confessed, I am afraid of your anger. She confessed. Then Prabhupada said, you may be afraid of your spiritual master. So Prabhupada says, it's okay if you're afraid. But that doesn't mean you should not come and see him. See this very important point. I think every line is important. How deeply we are able to see and appreciate. You may be afraid, but doesn't mean you should not come and see him. So even if you are afraid, you should come and see this. He then narrated the story of how Lord Balaram, who remembers the story of Lord Balaram and Yamuna? Quickly, the pastime between Balaramji and Yamuna Devi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Something I remember, Prabhuji, Lord Balram invites Yamuna Devi to come towards him, and Yamuna Devi refuses, and then he plows and...
He just neglects, she doesn't respond.
Yeah.
This is the time when, it looks like Balramji is drunk on Varuni in the banks of Yamuna. And there are the gopis, the Balramji's gopis are there, they're having a Raslila. And he says, Yamuna, come here. And he's talking as though he's intoxicated. So Yamuna simply continued to flow. So then what happened? So Prabhupada is saying, how Lord Balaram had once forced the river Yamuna to come before him. And then she begged his mercy and said, she glorified him in amazing words, and then she surrendered to him. So as Prabhupada spoke, all the devotees present became aware that Prabhupada was not only telling the Leela of Lord Balaram frightening the river Yamuna, but he was also speaking indirectly about his disciple Yamuna. Everybody understood. And Prabhupada was absorbed in the pastimes of Lord Balaram. And he described how Lord Balaram, intoxicated from drinking honey, had threatened the river Yamuna, forcing her to come. But when the Yamuna did not come, Lord Balaram had cut into the earth with his plow, forcing her to flow to him. In this way, Prabhupada said, I will drag you to come and see me. What a mercy. What a mercy. So how such a devotee can be lost? Even if you try to run away from your Guru, the Guru will come to save you. Run after. This is what actually makes ISKCON so very special. ISKCON is a tree that gives you shade. But then there are so many trees to give shade. But which tree will run after you to give you shade? Even if you run away from the tree, out of compassion, runs behind you and wants to render the shade. It wants to keep you in its shade. This is what Prabhupada demonstrated. Yamuna Dasi agreed to stop her foolish reluctance and come and cook for her spiritual master. So this is one pastime. Okay, we'll just see another couple of paragraphs and then end. Even though I prepare to speak more, but I think I don't want to miss out on the details. So we are moving slowly, actually. We are moving pretty slowly. Maybe 1 or 2 pages per session. I'm finding it difficult to do more than that. So Vrindavan afternoons were warm, but early morning was chill. We have once before Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and then Prabhupada went to Mayapur. Now Prabhupada has come back to Vrindavan. So in the earlier stay in Vrindavan also, there was some discussion about morning walk. And now also, there is some discussion about it. morning walks. So even though the devotees become tired, Prabhupada will keep on walking fast. Devotees are in the teens. Prabhupada is in 70 plus, almost 74, 75. But Prabhupada is walking so briskly, the devotees are becoming tired. And the devotees were joking, maybe he's walking all the way to Delhi. So when the sun rose, gradually the air would begin to warm up. And some of the devotees still wanted Prabhupada to talk about the places of Krishna's pastimes, where Brahma Vimohan Leela happened, where the Govardhan Leela happened, where the Ras Leela happened. They expect that Prabhupada will speak about Krishna and gopis. And Prabhupada himself would also like to see all those places. This is what they expect. But Prabhupada was far more concerned to hear of the preaching of his disciples in the whole world. Or he would discuss construction of Krishna Balram temple. There was hardly any discussion of Krishna Leela in Vrindavan. Prabhupada and all his close disciples are there together in Vrindavan. But no talk of Krishna Leela. The discussion is about the preaching mission and building of the temple. Or he would speak of the special vision required before we can see Vrindavan. Or he would say, don't think you can see Vrindavan with these eyes. You have to give up Vishaya. You have to transcend material sense attachment. And then only you can see the true Vrindavan, like quoting Narottam Das Thakur. He said, Vrindavan is wherever a pure devotee lives. Prabhupada is in Vrindavan. Prabhupada is in Vrindavan, but what he is saying, actually, Vrindavan is wherever a pure devotee lives. So you become a pure devotee, you are in Vrindavan, wherever you are. Prabhupada is not saying it in America. Prabhupada is saying it right sitting in Vrindavan. And he says, don't think that you have come to Vrindavan. Only when you become pure, then you will be actually. So Prabhupada said, stressed that the main business of the devotee is to go out of Vrindavan and preach. What exactly Prabhupada has done. He went out of Vrindavan and preached. And he said, every devotee should. So you see, something very special about ISKCON, because the emphasis is very much on self-purification and preaching. Very difficult to say which is more important. Because self-purification comes from sincere preaching also. Sincere preaching gives self-purification. Without purification, you cannot speak, or at least without a desire for self-purification, your preaching will not work. But if you have sincere desire that I am a fallen soul and I want to become purified, and I will become purified by executing the mission of my Guru, which means I preach with all my disqualifications, but I will still preach. This is so they feed each other. A pure devotee makes effective disciples. Or a person who preaches purely becomes purified himself. So these are automatic results. So they walked on the road and Prabhupada was explaining the mood of the Brajavasis. He was telling the essence of Vrindavan is that they respect saintly persons. They are always saying Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna. And when they see a saintly person, they fold their hands and say Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, this is actually the mood of Vrindavan, the essence of Vrindavan, where they know to respect saintly persons. So when we know to respect saintly persons, that is itself a great advancement for us. So Prabhupada says, this is one of the few remaining places in India where even a common man will chant Radharani and Krishna when he passes on the road. So to fully understand this extraordinary phenomenon is to understand Vrindavan. When you understand this, then you will know how spiritual this place is. Otherwise, you will see only the material aspects of Vrindavan. So one devotee asked, if many of the residents of Vrindavan are fallen souls, then what is the meaning of the statement that to take birth in Vrindavan means you get liberation? So how there are so many fallen souls? So the devotee asked Prabhupada, it says in Krishna book that the people in Vrindavan don't need a spiritual master because Krishna is their spiritual master. Prabhupada replied, yes. See, listen very carefully again. With this, we will close today's session. Yes, Prabhupada replied. They have an excellent spiritual master, Krishna. But one may have a spiritual master and not obey him. What is the use to say I have a spiritual master? when I don't obey. Like, I accept Jesus Christ as a Savior. I accept Jesus Christ as Savior. But do you care for what he spoke? Do you care for what he preached? Do you care for what will really please him? No, that's not okay. I am interested in my deliverance. I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven. So all that I have to do is accept Jesus as my Savior. And when I accept him, I will go back to him. And I can do all nonsense while I am here. I don't want to know what he preached. That will be a problem. When I hear to his preaching, then I will know I am falling from the standards. So I will only accept him as my Savior. This is not the business. Like Prabhupada is saying, accepting a spiritual master who is Krishna himself. But then you don't follow, you don't obey. Then what is his position? So they are fallen who do nonsense in Vrindavan. But their fortune is also there. See this. Prabhupada is not denying that they have fortune. They have fortune to take birth in Vrindavan. That's a fact, cannot be denied. But they are doing nonsense. Okay. So they are misusing their fortune. They are misusing their fortune. What will happen? They will be reborn as animals and wildlife. So we will continue from page number 198. Thank you very much for joining. Once again, I seek your forgiveness for not being very steady. I keep changing my timings. I give you short notice. Please forgive me. But I hope this class has been recorded for those of you who did not join. I hope the recording will be available. Thank you very much. If there is any question, you can kindly ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. I'm so happy I didn't miss the class, Prabhuji. Today, sir, at 6:35 only I saw the link. I was happy. On time I was able to join. I seek your blessings, Prabhuji. This class was very much useful for me. We are traveling to Vrindavan on Friday, coming Friday, Prabhuji. Yeah, with Balram Desh devotees. Yeah, I was, but we are staying there for 7 days, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes,
See,
yeah.
as long as you stay close to devotees, you are protected. You should not wander. Yeah. Wonderful. Please have a very nice day.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'm so happy to attend this class today. Prabhuji, what can we read while traveling, Prabhuji? Krishna book or Bhagavatam, what we can carry, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Krishna book itself is very good. Yeah, I think that will set the mood for the love.
Yes, Prabhuji. I want to read Akrura's that portion, Prabhuji, while traveling from Delhi to Mathura. I wish to read that. Please bless me, Prabhuji, so that I be humble servant of the servant throughout the yatra and after that also. Please bless me, Prabhuji.
Please bless me also, Mataji. Please. That's
Hare Krishna. I seek blessings of all devotees here. Please pray for me.
We
Thank
really
you.
need the mercy and blessings of devotees. Otherwise, there is really no hope. I am so glad. Please come back and give us some recollections. Thank you.
We will, Mataji. You pray for us also, Mataji, so that we can also visit very soon.
Sure, Mataji. I pray for all devotees. Actually, I heard Bhanuswami Maharaj's lecture. He was telling how in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna is becomes inferior and the devotees become superior. And such a dham, I have no qualification at all. But and with the mercy of devotees, hope I go with that humble mood. Prabhuji.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, first of all, thank you for bringing to our attention Ram Kumar Prabhuji's services and like not like someone who hasn't just risen to a stardom or extreme fame or something, but very dogged pursuit. That word phrase came to my mind. Without giving up, I think he has just gone on doing and to set himself some certain places where he would do and certain goals, and he just kept pursuing that. And you said, I think, that even when he was not well, you went and saw him and he told you the name of that corporation, Indian Oil Corporation something.
Yes.
He was even then thinking of that like how Prabhupada Prabhuji, this, I think this video is very famous. Everyone must have watched it. Even in his last days, he got the dictaphone. He got his devotees to get the dictaphone, and he was just from that bed where he was in his last days.